are so naughty, and they keep me laughing and safe, and they're very, very good guys. I mean, when the chips are down, nobody's more professional. But boy, can they play too.
They certainly can. I've only known them a couple of days, and they can play.
I'm sure.
You weren't so nice on yourself when you were younger. You described yourself as a plain Jane child with crooked teeth and really bad legs.
Bandy legs I had, yeah, really bandy legs. No, all of that had to be worked on, and you know, luckily my aunt was a ballet teacher, and she had her own school.
Right.
So I did a lot of classes and ballroom classes too, which I loved, and the teeth were fixed as every kid's are, and well, I guess something happened that was okay.
It's fair to say you didn't have a normal childhood. Did you have friends your own age?
I had like 3 really great girlfriends my own age, but as I said earlier, I wasn't in school.
No.
And so, really, I was only in school for about 2 years when I lived in Beckenham in Kent once. And other than that, no. But in my village, I have 3 friends to this day that I'm really close to, and we correspond, and you know, we really know each other well.
How lovely. Jennifer says, during your career, who inspired you and helped you develop? It's a good question.
Yeah, I'll say. Well, of course I had many mentors. I mean, the first one was that wonderful Madam Lillian Stiles Allen, who really was so very, very kind, and who knew I was young and scared. When I went to Broadway, there was a man who was the director of My Fair Lady and Camelot, and he sensed I was hopeless when I started. I really was, and I knew there was a good chance I could be sent back to England. But he sensed something. I knew if somebody would give me a chance, I could do it, but I didn't know what they wanted, really. I'd done musical all my life. I'd never done legit stuff. So Moss Hart was adorable, and just gave me all the help I needed and helped me be Eliza Doolittle and then Guinevere, and I thank him to this day. And, you know, Blake and, of course, Tony, my first husband, all of them were so helpful. Many, many people in my life.
There's a question from James. He's from Liverpool. He obviously doesn't know we're there on Tuesday. He says, your first job at the age of 12, how were you treated? Were you treated well?
Yes, I was. My God, by the company you're probably referring to. I was so young. You know, I've noticed my whole life, it's like big dogs don't hurt little puppies in the basket. They really don't, as a rule. And that was the way it was for me. The bigger the stars, the kinder they were, and they, with very rare exceptions, really treated me well. And I was very grateful, and I think I sort of tried to do that too.
In that show, you stole the show, didn't you? But your entry was a setup, wasn't it?
Yes, I mean, as I say, I came through the audience, but there was a comedian on stage with Vic Oliver, and the comedian made these wonderful balloon animals, dogs and horses and funny clown-like things. And at the end of his act, he said, is there any little girl or boy in the audience that would like one of these? And along with several other kids who obviously wanted to go on up and get one, I was one of the last, and I would come down the aisle and say, I'd like one, please. And he'd take me last, and then he'd say, you know, give me my balloon and say, what do you do? And I sing, and would you care to sing for us tonight? And so on.
Wonderful.
Well, I mean, as I say, how lucky can one be?
Well, you had the talent as well.
I had a gift. I had a fabulous gift, and thank God for that. It saved me, because with such a, I mean, I didn't realize it was a strange childhood. You never do till you look back on it. But it did give me an identity. Being able to sing gave me something that said, that's who I am. And so thank God for that.
Do you think you had to grow up ahead of your time? Because you were mixing with adults all the time.
All the time, yeah. I think that's probably true, Alan. Yeah, I did. And eventually really helped support the whole family one way and another, yeah.
And also mixing with lots of raucous comedians, I'd imagine.
Oh, the best. As I said earlier, the tops of the bills were all these fabulous comedians. And I worked with really so many. many of them. They were wonderful, funny. I say a lot of their one-liners even to this day.
Well, I thought we'd have a little game here, okay? I'll name a few comedians, and you've got to say the first thing that comes to your head.
Oh, okay, okay.
Max Bygraves.
Oh, sweetheart. He played Buttons to my Cinderella at the Palladium that year that I got spotted to go to America, and he was lovely. He was also on a radio show called Educating Archie that I did with Peter Bruff and Archie Andrews, who was a dummy. I don't think probably any of you young ones would know this, but on radio they had a ventriloquist in this dummy. Now,
how does that work?
I don't know, but there you are. That's the way the world goes.
And you were the dummy's girlfriend.
I was supposed to be the little girl next door, but since our names were both Andrews, he was Archie Andrews and I was Julie Andrews, I think they felt that both dummies were related in some way, you know?
Okay, another one now. Tony Hancock.
Oh, Hancock's half hour. Tony Hancock. I remember him. He had these wonderful hands that were like. I don't mean this as a bad thing. I mean it as a compliment in a way. He would stand on stage looking so sorry for himself with kind of wet fish for hands, you know, just flabby and looking very down. He was a lovely man, very sad.
How about Norman Wisdom? Great comedian.
Funny comedian, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Norman was great. Oh God, I played in a pantomime with Jack and the Beanstalk with him, and I remember one moment he did this sweet. He was always that funny little hat and sort of a cheeky chappy, a bit like Arthur Askey in those days, and he was playing. It's not going to go anywhere, this story. I almost should forget it, but he was playing with all a group. They were playing cricket, and it was his ball, and he wanted to keep his ball. He didn't want to give it away, and they said, well, you have to give so-and-so a chance. You have to give Charlie Chancellor a chance with the ball. And after an enormous amount of humming and hawing, he said, all right, Charlie Chancellor, you can have my ball, you can, but I'm going to bat, he said.
How many stories must you have in your head, eh?
Well, lots of lovely ones too, sweet ones. People were so good.
Did you ever encounter anyone that wasn't very nice to you when you were younger?
Yeah, a few. But, good God, I guess they've sharpened me up a bit and made me realize that sometimes in the world it isn't as good as you think it is, you know?
And one of the comedians we haven't mentioned, Hattie Jakes, she was instrumental in you getting seen for The Boyfriend.
Yes. Oh, well, Hattie Jakes was in that radio show, Educating Archie, with Peter Bruff and Archie Andrews. She was in that show on radio, so she knew about me, and when people were looking for a Cinderella, and looking, of course, for a Polly Brown to go to Broadway and The Boyfriend, that's the lady that said, go look at a little girl in Cinderella at the Palladium. I think she might be what you're looking for, and that's when they asked me to go to America.
So she changed your life?
She did. She was a lovely lady, another kind one.
I can't imagine what it was like for you at, 19, being in New York. It must have been such a massive shock to the system.
Yeah, I turned 19 the day after the show opened on Broadway. The Boyfriend opened on Broadway, and God, I was scared. I was so green, and I mean, Broadway, New York took my breath away. I would sometimes have to stand in a shop doorway or something just to catch my breath, because it was the pace there is so enormous, and you really need a good muscle to learn how to live in New York City. Mind you, I soon got used to it, but it's true, I did feel a bit, wow.
So what did you do when you were on stage?
Did
you just stay in your room, or did you go out?
Yeah, I shared a flat, and we gradually, I mean, we had no money at all. There's a wonderful story about that first few days in New York. There was they put me in a hotel on Broadway, on Times Square, a kind of awful hotel, it's no longer there. But they put me in a tiny room overlooking a shaft, that's all, just one window, a bed that filled the whole room, and you had to squeeze past it, and one shower. And the only way I could tell what the weather was like was by looking up the huge shaft outside my window and seeing if there was bright sky or whatever. And one day it was raining.